Welcome to Rooted Revival, where truth takes root and generational change begins. I'm Michelle Lynch, functional health practitioner, founder of WellHaus, and mother of 7. Here we expose the lies, reclaim what matters, and build what lasts. For you, your family, and the legacy you're called to carry. Let's get into it. What if wellness wasn't about restriction, but about flavor, creativity, and connection? In today's episode, I'm joined by Anne and Jill, the founders of Urban Pharm, a brand that's bringing shrubs back in a way that's anything but old-fashioned. We're talking about the power of seasonal ingredients, the importance of slowing down, and how a simple vinegar-based drink is helping people reconnect to their health and their joy. This isn't just about what's in your glass, it's about building a life that actually nourishes you. So if you're into community, clean ingredients, and redefining wellness on your own terms, you're in the right place. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, hi, welcome. My name is Michelle. I am the founder of WellHaus, and today I am joined by Urban Pharm founders, Anne and Jill. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you guys on this podcast, this interview, and for our audience to get to know you.
Thanks a lot, Michelle. We're excited to talk with you. All things Urban Pharm.
All things Urban Pharm. We like to talk a lot, so this works well for us.
Good. I'm glad, because this is going to be diving into your story, what you guys are passionate about. And I think what I love so much about WellHaus and connecting with these brands is that we already come from a place of being so like-minded with the things that we love, health and regenerative farming and making quality products for consumers. And I'm just so excited to connect with people, founders like you, and share your stories with everybody. So with that said, tell me a little bit about how you all both connected and how Urban Pharm came to be.
So I'll jump in with how we connected, although we have trouble actually thinking about a real birth story for, for our friendship. But we both live in Cambridge. We have shared friends. We have kids roughly the same age. And Anne also was, weirdly enough, the student of my husband when he was a very young, I will point out, high school student. And Anne was a very old, high school teacher. And Anne was a very old high school student. But that's not how we met. It more feels like there wasn't actually a meeting point with Anne, just more like I've known her forever, which I love.
Me too.
And that's then really special.
Yeah, it is special. And I think that there were lots of years of friendship building, and it was during COVID when we were really hunkered down in a pod together with a few other families that we kind of developed a really kind of organic intimacy, that when a friendship reaches that zone where there can be no communication, but you are totally communicating. We entered that phase, and and Urban Pharm was really born out of that time. We'd spent a lot of nights drinking Negronis around the fire pit in Jill's backyard, and we were in snowsuits and 6 feet apart and all of those things. But what Jill and I both really value in our lives is this connection and nourishment and laughter and happy making, and all of that had been stripped away in a lot of ways during COVID, and we were able to keep it going for our friendship and for our little families. And we were also at a moment in our lives where we had younger kids who were still in lower school, and we had usually, pre-March of 2020, tons of connection with all sorts of people all the time. It was a really just a bustling time in our lives, and all of that was stripped away. And so during these, fire pit nights, we talked about what we could do to reconnect with people that wasn't being with them, because we were all still terrified of being within 6 feet of each other and not masked and whatever. And we started delivering little care packages to a group. How many people do you think it was at first, Jill? 12 people, maybe?
12 to 15, probably.
They were little milk crates that had a drinking vinegar, a long simmered broth, some sort of something magical. Like Jill made a really beautiful butterfly pea flower almond milk one time that was really
Aw.
delicious. And we made tahini cookies and whatever, just little like bits of goodness, and included a letter about what was in the care package and why it was good for you. And then also what we were listening to, what we were reading, what we were watching. And the response was so passionate back to us about like, people felt so taken care of and so nurtured, which they hadn't been in 6 months. They've been making 3 meals a day for 3 kids and all of that stuff. And so it just started, Urban Pharm kind of started taking shape out of those interactions and those moments. Chime in, Jill. I kind of jumped on a train and went, but I'm not sure what.
I love riding on the train with you.
Yeah.
I think you captured it beautifully. I think that it's the inception story of Urban Pharm feels very much, and the values of it and what we were trying to do has stayed consistent, and the way that we were trying to do it has stayed consistent throughout the development of the company too, which is here we were, a bunch of families together, laughing and connecting in really human ways around and over food and drink. And we just wanted to spread that and taking care of each other and nourishing each other in that way. I actually sort of miss, it sounds weird to say that you miss anything about the pandemic days, but it was a really special, intimate, connected time for a small group of us. And we wanted to try to extend that out to a larger group of people, because it was so meaningful for us. And I think that's what we continue to try to do. It's with real humanity and good for you, but also like joyful and beautiful and a little irreverent and expansive of, in the ideas of what it is that's good for you. If it's good for you to be wearing snow pants and 5 hats and, gloves and drinking soup outside around a fire in 0-degree weather, awesome. Do that. And we want to support you doing that in any way we can. And if you'd rather be cozied up in in front of a fire with a book, do that too. So that's a little bit too much on, but that's the only thing I would add.
There's so much that I love about what you all were talking about. One, and how you guys immediately just came to the forefront for your community and your friends and your family to be able to do something like that. And two, I think that what you were saying of like, it sounds sad. I don't want to say like we missed that time, but I think that I've heard a lot of people say that, and I think that it would be one's perspective and their reaction to circumstances that would make someone feel that way, because I think there were obviously a lot of horrible things that happened during that time period. However, I think that a lot of people took it and said, how are we going to run with this? Are we going to have a reaction that is just going to put us in fear and misery and put us under? Or is it going to be, we're going to do the absolute best that we can and make the most of what we have here? And really, like you said, hone in on our community and what we can do for the people around us during this time. And it sounds like you guys did it so beautifully. And I love that was like a start to what Urban Pharm is today. You said that you were making all sorts of like little things and like recipes. So how did you guys land on Shrubs?
Well, one way is that people asked us for more shrubs, or like, what was in that? Can we have the recipe? Can I buy more from you? And they were asking about other things too that we had delivered, but the other things were more difficult to produce. If we made we made delicious 24-hour chicken broth, but to do that at scale is really difficult. I'm jumping ahead actually to why we went with Shrub for the product out of Urban Pharm, but not where Shrub came from. And Jill's the one, I remember when you brought me a shrub in the little gazebo, and it was the first time I had it. Jill is the one who introduced me to the deliciousness of Shrubs. So maybe that's the question.
Where Shrubs even came from. And I stumbled upon a recipe someplace like 15 years ago and became obsessed with it. It was the watermelon mint. So one of our flavors is a watermelon mint and Himalayan salt. And there was some version of that that was the first recipe that how I came across Shrub. And I got obsessed. I was offering it to anyone who could come over. I was like, you got to try this. It's so good. And I wouldn't tell them what was in it because no one really likes the sound, frankly. Some people do, but most people don't love the sound of like, oh, great. It's a drinking vinegar. How delicious sounding. And Anne was one of those
Delicious.
one of those people because it's like refreshing and it's light and it's got a little bit of an edge, but it's delicious and it's beautiful. Anyways,
This is a side note that I've not told you, Jill. Now you're coming into our like popcorn conversation. I talked to a woman the other day at the marathon, and she was saying how she goes to Vashon Island in the summer, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you make shrubs." And Vashon, there's a stand that I go to every day that has popsicles for the kids and shrubs for the grown-ups. She's like, I have a shrub every day. I was like, that's the best farm stand stop on your bike ever.
I love the idea. That's a perfect thing on a bike ride. I love the idea of a shrub popsicle.
I do too.
People are out there. This is one of the things that I have to say that I love about doing what we're doing with Urban Pharm is there's so many people doing so many beautiful, creative, generous things with care. And we get to be around that like all day, not all day, every day, but when we market or when we're talking to people or whatever it is, it's a self-serving part of the business for us, I think, is the exposure that we get to just people who are doing like amazing, creative, generous things. It's like such a gift.
It really is. And I've seen that so far with what I'm doing with WellHaus too, is I just feel so blessed. Like I feel like selfishly I'm getting so much out of it. You know, the intent was I want to help small brands grow and be acknowledged for their quality work and how much they care about the customers. They're not trying to take shortcuts. They're truly trying to make something exceptional. And I wanted to highlight that, but selfishly, not selfishly, but I get in return so much more, I feel. So I'm like, this is a win-win for me. Like I get to just connect and be around people that are some of the best people that I've met. So this has been an amazing experience for me. Speaking with the shrubs, a lot of people, believe it or not, and this is coming from a health practitioner, when I mention shrubs to my clients, they're like, what's a shrub? So maybe tell us a little bit about if someone, I don't know if you ever get that, like what's a shrub, but how do you explain that to people? And I also would like to know if you came at it ever from a health perspective, or if you came at it from a flavor, like playing in the kitchen, loving what that tastes like how did you come at it? Do you guys care? How much do you care, or do you emphasize with your customers of the health benefits, or is it more of like flavor and fun? Is it a mixture of both? So tell me some of those things.
So I'll jump in.
That was a lot. Sorry. Those are 20 questions in one.
No, that's not a lot. It's a great set of questions and they're exactly the right ones. So do we get what is a shrub? All day, every day, period. Yes, we get that all the time. So shrubs have, so I'll give our farmers market spiel if that's, so shrubs have been around for a long time, actually. And they started popping up on sort of craft cocktail menus as not a mixer, but as like an ingredient. Maybe like 15, I started noticing it maybe 15-ish years ago. The basic structure of a shrub is a vinegar plus a fruit plus a sweetener. And our emphasis has been from the get-go, even with our little, milk crate boxes, is that things that are good for you should be delicious, and things that are delicious should be good for you. So, like, why not? what's like, why not? It doesn't have to be any other way. So, so for the shrub, this is why we use raw apple cider vinegar, not because we have to, but because it's the best for you vinegar to use. We use, you know, as local as possible fruit, because again, it's what's the best for you. We try and get the best possible ingredients, mostly organic when we can. Sometimes we can't, so we can't really label it that way. But we use honey, raw local honey, as opposed to cane sugar, which is usually what shrubs use. So we actually had to develop a whole new kind of process for making a shrub, because when cane sugar is used, it draws the fruit juices out by a kind of maceration process, which honey doesn't do the same thing. So we had to kind of come up with a different version of how to make them. But so that's a long way of saying that the combination of, it's always been equally important that it be as good for you as possible, and also that it be as delicious as possible. And good for you is also, we didn't know this kind of going in, but color and like the beauty of things has also come to be pretty central to Urban Pharm's definition of what is delicious and what is good for you. Actually also has a lot to do with beauty, not sort of, you know, the beauty of ingredients and color and all that kind of stuff.
Are you talking about from a nutrient perspective with that? Or are you talking more aesthetic?
Talking more expansively, which we do a lot, in terms of good for you. So yes, there's sort of, you know, the richer, darker, deeper colors do have a nutritional, you know, art, but I'm more talking about actually the beauty of the product is part of what makes it good for you, right? It's a level of your enjoyment of it, is the aesthetic of it.
It's not as easy to find a shrub without the sugar. I say sugar forward, like the cane sugar, you know, as like the main ingredient. And it's one thing I really loved and appreciated about what you all do is that it doesn't feel, you put all these other ingredients at the forefront. And that's something that I really appreciate from a health perspective. It's something that I feel so confident in recommending to someone, because I mean, I feel like all that sugar masks all of the rich flavors that come from that people like. I truly feel like we've been hijacked with our taste buds, you know, and I feel like being able to bring yourself back down to earth and be grounded and be able to taste those flavors. And you actually do with your product versus like you get your hands on these other ones that are sugar forward is what I'd say, you know, where it's like, that's the first thing that hits your palate. And then you can't even taste the rest of the flavor really.
Yeah. Well, and one other aspect of the shrubs for us, they are good for you in all sorts of ways. The nutritional benefits are incredible. The beauty of the actual product. I think our bottles are cool and our labels are great and all of that. But it was also for us a little bit of taking back the concept of wellness that had been it had turned into something that was all about restriction. You know, it was like a no gluten, no dairy, no alcohol, no coffee, it just on, and having it be something that is, you know, adds a little happy making element, you know, that you can drink the shrub with tequila if you want to, like if that is what is good for you on a Friday night, then go for it. So really defining what is good for you and playing around with that. But just having something that is additional, that is, you know, delicious and good for you, but is not about restriction, and it isn't about, you know, taking things away.
Yeah, no, we are right on board in alignment there that I am not someone who likes to have a blanket statement or say that it has to be a particular way. Like I've gone through that evolution, not just myself, but seeing it with clients on restrictive diets and how they do things. And I think realistically, the best way to be healthy is to I say have a balance, but it's like, you know, I'm someone who I've actually, I drink less over the years. With alcohol, I've drank less as time goes on. Just naturally. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm finding things that I love that give me a little bit of a, call it a high, you know, but like, I think there's the herbs that give you that, these adaptogens and these things that you can have in these fun elixir drinks that have brought me, you know, as much joy as an alcoholic drink. So I just have had less over time, but I'm not one to say that you have to, you know, switch completely. And I think that there's a time and a place for all of this, but to know that you have so much variety with how you can use these shrubs is actually more appealing to someone who, and actually I would also say that it's a great way if I am trying to get someone, hey, let's have less alcohol. You drink so much, you know, is like, hey, try to incorporate this. And I think if anything, it would be like me, it's had me drinking less over time because I actually enjoy, you know, making all these other fun drinks where I feel like alcohol is not the main priority.
That's true. And we've also had fun playing around with the non-alcoholic. I've had more fun than Jill does with it because I like the botanical fake gins and all of that more than she does. But it's fun to play around and have you know, non-alcoholic cocktails. And the shrub just adds a little bit of edge that is, if you order a mocktail at a restaurant, sometimes it can be so like fruit punchy vibed, and adding a little bit of shrub and some ritual gin or some other, you know, NA spirit is delicious. And it is it feels, I know that some people drink a cocktail. Somebody said this to me. They're like, you know why I drink cocktails? It's not for the ritual. It's to get drunk. That's why I drink it. And you know, fair enough. But I drink it for the ritual of it. So I appreciate, you know, being able to make a mocktail or a non-alcoholic cocktail and you know, participate in the ritual of cocktail hour.
Well, and that kind of brings me to another question that I had, was how you guys are making these products. Like, how is it that you bring your creative aspect? I mean, I'm someone who, I think of all these different flavors. I don't know whether they would taste good or not unless I tried them. So obviously there was some trial and error in what you guys were doing and how you were making these shrubs and what you landed on first. And so tell me a little bit about that, like your process.
Process for choosing, for figuring out
your creative process for the flavors that you're going to choose, and you know how you guys land on them. Is it a lot of getting opinions? Obviously there's probably some opinions and feedback from people once you make things, because I think that there's things that I'll try in the kitchen and be like, this is amazing, and I'll give it to my husband, he's like, this is trash. So you know, I don't know, like, how your creative process. I'm sure there's like some fun creative flavors that you guys come up with where other people are like, no.
It is funny how other elements like the rhubarb, I'm going to leave this to you, Jill, but it is what like factors we didn't think about that all of a sudden are relevant to
become relevant. I'm feeling a little bit sheepish isn't exactly the right word, but we kind of don't run the flavors by anybody else other than
the two of us. We do get a little bit of feedback. You know, people at markets will say, like, will you do something spicy, or will you try something with tomato? You know, so there are things that we'll like take and, you know, put, you know, on our proverbial list of things to think about. But for the most part, kind of what's in season, you know, like where strawberries are coming up and like, what are we going to do with strawberries? What are we going to pair with? But Jill's really the mastermind behind the recipes.
Yeah. Well, so we have 3 core flavors that we make, which were our initial 3 flavors. The watermelon, mint, and Himalayan salt, which I talked about. Apple, rosemary, and flowers. And the flowers are rose and hibiscus. And the third is a wild blueberry and basil, which actually started out initially as wild blueberry, basil, and tulsi. But then we couldn't find a regular enough local source of tulsi, so we dropped that out. But and then we have special edition flavors, and those are ones, so the original flavors we make all year round, and then the limited edition flavors come out. I mean, we're sort of trying to make it a more regular timing, but it's maybe 4 times a year. And those are always, it starts with what's in season in terms of fruit. And then it's kind of, I feel like flavors come to me in the same way that like recipes do when I go to a farmer's market, which is you sort of look around and the ingredients jump out at you, either because they're beautiful or they're fresh looking, or the combination just it's kind of like kitchen witching a little bit. So I actually don't know. It comes. It sounds I don't mean to be presumptuous, because I don't know that everyone has my same taste, but it comes kind of naturally to me. So I don't actually really know how to describe the process, but it's seasonal. It's color. It's
Yeah,
what's
color driven.
in a beautiful color is really important. Flavor, obviously, something unexpected. And then also we choose all of our ingredients based on them being good for you in some way, shape, or form. So we want everything to be have a functional purpose, even though truth be told, there's you in a serving, you only get enough of the raw apple cider vinegar to receive the health benefits from it. So when we have, we have a pear, ginger, and turmeric flavor, and those ginger and turmeric are good for you. They're in all sorts of ways. But we're careful to tell people that, this is a gesture in a direction of ingredients that are good for you. But in a serving of this Urban Pharm shrub, you're not actually getting enough of it, because that feels important to be transparent and not make claims that are silly, right? So does that answer the question?
It does. Do you guys, this is a random side note, I was thinking of it. Do you guys still have the pineapple plate? Is it like a pineapple? And it was the one that I was asking about. It's like a spicy, I think, pineapple one,
We
right?
just sold the last one. That was one of our limited editions, and we just sold it.
Bummer, because I was like, I'm someone who likes the spicy stuff too. So I saw that and I was like, ooh, I want to try that one.
We can make your spice dreams come true, but not with that particular.
Yeah, well, I'll have to try the next spicy thing that you have coming down the line. Well, are you guys avid farmers market goers? It sounds like you are. I mean, outside of what you were doing, like prior to Urban Pharm, were you guys went to the farmers market?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. For me, that's like one thing that I really love, is that nearly everyone that I'm working with is one that not only has been an active goer of the farmers market, but one now that they're in there and they're selling at their local farmers markets. And I think that that's something that people need to do more of, and something that I think we'll see a lot more. We already have, but we'll continue to see in the future, is people seeking out their local, the local businesses, the local farms, the local products.
Definitely.
And for me, ultimately, that's what WellHaus is. The goal is to connect people to their local community. And I was thinking, okay, we'll start with the US, get people focused on what's here and, in our nation. But beyond that, my goal is to get you to shop even more local, shop in your area. And I came up with this slogan when we launched our franchise model with WellHaus. It's love where you live, or learn to love where you live, because I feel like so many people were always thinking about things outside of us, and with Amazon and quick shipping and this whole being disconnected. And of course, COVID didn't help at all with that part, but it's time to get reconnected. And for me, it's something that I immediately felt with you all and what you do, is this sense of wanting that. And obviously your story and how you guys started just solidified that for me, and telling me that that's something that you guys really care about. What is it that you guys do? And I'm sure that there's a lot with what we heard with your story, to be involved with your local community and share Urban Pharm with your community.
Well, I think that there are a couple of different ways, and just focusing for a second on the farmers markets, that I think participating in Cambridge is a really amazing city for a lot of reasons, but in the summer we have a farmers market. I think it's every day of the week somewhere in town, not selling Urban Pharm at all of them, but there is an amazing sense of community at the markets, not only with the other vendors, but with people coming to the markets. And then also getting into local stores, into the local retail stores. I think that there has been a big shift, and we're probably all involved in this, of buying things online, just making things really easy. But there's also seems to me a very conscious effort by consumers to support their local stores. So we have a very cute corner store a couple of blocks from my house called Black Sheep, and it's always packed with people. And we do some tastings there on Friday night, and a couple of Friday nights we've done it, and people are really coming in, and they know that it's happening, and they come in to test Urban Pharm, but also to pick up provisions for dinner. And they have a dog of the month, and everybody's vying to be dog of the month, and my dog was dog of the month last month and whatever. But there's this real sense of not only that they have built an important part of the community, but that people want that. People want to be talking to neighbors and talking to strangers and petting each other's dogs and all of that. So I think that that Black Sheep is one example, but there are lots of stores that we are in Cambridge and in the area where there is this real sense of community that's being built in those particular stores, and we're really proud to be part of it. Like, we love being on the shelves and people finding us there, and then saying, "Oh, we met at the Somerville Farmers Market," or "I saw you at this market." All of these connections are, I don't know, they're really happy making for us. And then we try to participate in anything that we're asked to participate in. We try to, so that Cambridge Naturals, which is a really great store that Jill works with, they sell a lot of Urban Pharm, but they also just published a spring zine, and we contributed an article on love lists, which is something that we love. And it's just, if somebody asks us to do something, we're really happy to participate and do as much as we can to make as many. It's as much about the connections and the friendships and all of that as it is about shrub selling. We're obviously happy to sell cases and cases of shrub, but it's this, just seeing the community that's being built is really amazing.
I saw the love list. If you remember, I reached out. I was like, I love this. This is amazing. So I would like for you to tell people what that is, because I feel like it's things like that that are people are, I'm not necessarily dismissing. It's just not something that people are putting their attention on or thinking about. We're thinking about rush, go, like on to the next thing. Like, again, this whole disconnected thing. And when I saw that, I was like, these are the things that I want more of in my life right now, is slowing down just a little bit and breathing and like focusing on the important priorities in your life. And I'm not just talking about like, how to get ahead in the world and make more money. I'm talking about forming relationships and being able to give yourself this inner peace through certain rituals within your life. But tell us about the list, because that was something that I was like, I remember saying, I was like, I love this.
And you want me to take this, Anne?
Well, it was your brainchild.
My oldest son actually pointed this out to me. And did I tell you this? When the Cambridge Natural zine came out with this love list, is that it was actually his girlfriend, Allie, who introduced the concept to me.
I didn't know that. I love that.
Yeah, she was like, oh God. So I'm giving a shout. Didn't come from me. I'm giving a shout out to Allie here, who, so a love list is it's a list that it's sort of ongoing, that you use to just take note of the little idiosyncratic, everyday, random things that just happen to bring you joy. So the first time we went through this exercise, it's not even an exercise. It's like such a joy to do. And it's weird, maybe not so weirdly, but it's really a kind of intimate activity to do with a group of people. I mean, it's intimate when you're doing it with yourself. It's like a good reminder to sort of pay attention to what makes you happy. But doing it like kind of collectively, which was my first experience of it, was really not moving. Sounds like, I don't know, too much, but it was a really intimate, special thing. And some of the things that ended up on that initial list were, which we were coming up with, some of my kids and I, and my husband and Allie. I'm going to keep saying her name again and again and again to make up for the fact that I didn't credit her before. What did we come up with? We came up with like the, one of mine was, I love like the freckles on little people's noses for some reason. What else was on there? One of my sons said, I really like it when little kids like big dogs.
Yeah,
Like,
that's cute. It is so-
yeah, go ahead.
I think that the love list, it's not unlike a gratitude list, but it is lighter hearted and like more irreverent. And gratitude, I appreciate gratitude and I have it for a lot of things, but the love list is more like the little bursts of, like, I love a black and white picture that has like the lips painted on, like lipstick, you know what I mean? Like those, but that's not on my gratitude list, but it is on, it's love list. I feel as if it's like lighter hearted and more like playful and fun.
I'm glad that you pointed that out. And that to me makes like where I was like, oh, okay. Like that makes a lot of sense. Because I was sitting here thinking of, things and I was trying, and I think what I was battling with in my head was the difference between gratitude of certain things versus what you said. So that was really, really well said. But yeah, no, I love that idea. How often would one, I mean, I'm sure that's not like you have to do it a certain amount of times, when you started thinking through like your list, is it something that you like sat down, like you said, you did it in a group, or like you just sit down and you're just like shouting out like things that you love that are those little things, or what, how would one get into like writing their own list, like just sitting down in your own time, your own presence, doing it with friends, either or?
We do have on our website, we have a template. So people can log on to the website and download a free template. And it just is kind of gives you a place to write all the things. But I think that.
Here's how you get started, Michelle. You ready?
Yes.
What's on your love list?
Okay. Well, I was thinking about this. I mean, hearing my kids like giggle and laugh at each other or with each other is something that just brings me joy. Like just their the way that my daughter, it's not my daughter anymore, but do you know when your kid goes through a certain period of time where the way that they say something is so cute, and then one day they wake up and then they no longer say it that way, and you just want to like sob. I'm like, and then you think back to when they would say it that way. You're like, no, say it this way. My daughter would say, when she was trying to say girl, she'd say Gil.
I love it.
Gil. And I was like, that's just the cutest thing ever. I was like, never stop saying that. And then one day she woke up and said girl. And I was like, no, it's Gil. So that's definitely one. Oh gosh, I'm sure I'll come up with a ton, but I think that kind of exercise for individuals is something that's so needed. And I'm probably going to find a way to put this on social where people have to, can do this. So, and like link to your list on your site, because I just think that it's so needed nowadays. Like I said, I feel like people are so what do they call it when you're like wound? So wound tight, you know what I mean? Like they can't laugh and they feel like they have to take things so seriously. And I'm like, no, like life is good. It's okay. Like you need to think about and appreciate these little things that just make you smile. And so I loved that. I remember.
I'm not going to stay on this for too long, but I do think that it makes you, once you start doing it, it makes you notice more regularly. And it's the really small things, like the light shining in on the morning hits our island in our kitchen, and there's a shadow from the plants. And it was like, when I saw that the first time, I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful. I can't believe. I mean, just opens your eyes a little teeny bit.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think it starts as an exercise, and hope is that it is an orientation to the way that you interact with the world, which is noticing, valuing, celebrating the everyday little bursts of goodness, right? That's sort of hopefully it becomes not a thing to do, right? But a way to orient and just kind of encounter your life day in and day out, is taking special care, but also just taking special note of little tiny things that are just awesome.
I I heard you mention a couple, but I'd love to know. You guys asked me. I only gave one or two, but like, what are some of your on your top of your lists?
You triggered one of mine that I had forgotten about, that my sister-in-law is named Mary Lou. She goes by ML. And my daughter is now 18, was really funny. She is still funny, but she was really funny when she was little. She wore like glasses and always had like a pocketbook. And she called her Elmo, just like the way she said it. She'd be like, "Hi, Elmo." Elmo. We would make us cry. Elmo. But that same one day she just said ML, and I was like, "No more Elmo." So there's a wrap on that.
Yeah.
Like little kids in glasses too. I think that that's very cute.
Very cute.
Then when you pointed to the nose freckles, I was like, "Oh, little kid in glasses, forget it."
Eye crinkle, like
Oh, lashes. I like a long lash. too.
eye crinkle does it for me. Like backyard chicken eggs in all different colors.
The
Oh
best.
yeah.
Totally do it for me. That's up there.
The smell of basil, like when you take basil out of the, you get it home and on the counter, or
Yeah,
you're trimming it up from your own garden. It smells so good.
so many, I have to say.
Yeah.
Like laughing.
Forever.
I love that feeling when your stomach hurts so much because you're literally laughing so hard.
I also like when you think of something that's funny and then laugh, but it could be like a month later, years later.
Sometimes that goes awry for me. The other day I had an issue with that. I really couldn't speak.
There was one time, I'll have to do it again now. Do you guys have like flower farms in your area?
Yeah.
So we have like a lot of really nice flower farms in our area. One in particular that I go to and I like pick, well, you go and you pick them yourselves or whatever. And I had never done that. And then last season I went and did it for the first time. And I told my husband when I came home, he was like, "How was it?" And I was like, "Honestly, it's the happiest I've been in a really long time." Like, just like being outside. And I went with my mom and my sister, and my daughter, but just the fact of being there and just like, it was quiet. And, I think I'm like, so like drawn to stimulus. I feel like I always have to have music on or like talking or radio or whatever, that it's always high stimulus. And it was the first time that I had been in a place where it was like quiet and I didn't mind it. Cause normally I'm like, no, I don't like quiet. I like crazy, like noise and stuff. But like, I was so at peace and I felt so good. And just like that practice of doing that was so fun.
I love that. I love a flower farm.
I do too. Well, tell me a little bit about maybe you can give me a little sneak peek into like some like flavors that you guys are testing or thinking of coming up. I don't know if there's anything on the docket. If you're like, no, we're set with our flavors right now. What do you have coming down the pipeline?
I don't know. Can we say this, Anne? Is it spoiling? Should we?
We can. I already halfway spoiled it.
Okay.
And then if you need me to cut something out, I can. If you're like, no, don't share.
No. So strawberries are about to come into season, kind of late May. I guess it's not about to, but we're close. Late May, early June. And so we've done some strawberry flavors in the past. Strawberry thyme was a real winner.
Love that.
And we're doing another strawberry based thing. And right now I'm thinking of lemon balm and pink peppercorns.
Ooh, I like that. That sounds
So
yummy.
you might be getting your spice coming your way.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. Ooh, I like that. How much do you guys put into, like, I'm someone who loves the nitty gritty. I love to know, obviously with what I do, like the benefits of different ingredients for my health. And I know that you said you don't put a massive emphasis on some of those things because you're like, hey, quantity wise with your serving. But do you feel like consumers that get your products are people who simply like to have it for putting into a cocktail, or do they understand the benefits of drinking a shrub? Like, what is it that you get? Probably a good mix, but I'm curious if it weighs one way or the other with people buying it for health reasons, or if they buy it for flavor or what.
It is a mix, but we've found that people are really drinking it in non-alcoholic cocktails or in sparkling water. Feels as if it's more in the kind of the wellness or non-alcohol direction than it is cocktails. Do you find that too, Jill?
Totally. I think
And some people who will use it in cooking, but those are the people who like really like love playing around in the kitchen. Jill and I are both play around in the kitchen people. And
Yeah.
so it was a little bit of a learning curve for us that people needed like some people want like very precise measurements of how much to put in, how much water. And we're like, just play around, do what you like. And they're like, well, can you tell me how much to play around with? And so some people are more playful than others, but we also, it is the raw apple cider vinegar that is, you know, the lion's share of nutritional benefits, but
Right.
we do pay attention to what ingredients we're putting in there and what those particular, like what's the nutritional profile of wild blueberries, what's the nutritional profile of basil, and we do pay attention to all of that and communicate it to consumers as well, a lot, you know, through our site, but we talk to people about it, you know, at markets and things too.
Do you guys have a favorite shrub that you've created personally? Or is it kind of one of those things where you're like, no, we really don't. It's more based on like mood and season and whatever. Like sometimes like, you know, when you find a flavor that you're just like, or when you go to a restaurant, I guess is a better example, or something where you find a meal and then you always get that meal because you're like, that's the best thing. I'm never switching it up. It's so good. I feel like I'll try different things, like, you know, different drinks and be like, I can't veer from it. I love it so much. It's like my favorite.
And then when you do veer from it, you're like, why did I do that? I should have ordered what I liked.
Yeah, very rarely do I love that decision to try something different. I'm like, man, I should have gotten my regular. So yeah, tell me.
I use the apple and rosemary the most because I also use it in salad dressings and mignonettes, and I like Negronis and phony Negronis. So I use that the most, but I actually love them all kind of equally. In the summer, I love the watermelon. The raspberry and the blueberry are really fruit forward, and that's kind of special in its own way.
Yeah, I think for me, it's what I don't have a favorite, and I find it both confusing, although I understand that people are looking for like help engaging when people will say, well, which is your favorite?
Yeah.
And I can sort of say, well, I don't have a favorite, but I can tell you what I like about each of these and when I use them. But mostly what my favorite isn't going to be.
Yeah, I find that at restaurants too, when people say to the waitress or waiter, like, what's your favorite? I'm like,
yeah.
And how's that going to be helpful in your decision? Because that person might not like the same stuff you do.
I try to gently redirect where I'll be like, well, often I find that whatever you respond to, like if it's a color or a fruit sounds particularly good, like you might as well do that one first and then we can move on from there. But I try to gently, anyways, for me, I like them all for different reasons and in different contexts, right? Like I love actually the watermelon because it's partly a summer thing. It's super refreshing and super light. So I actually like it after like post sweating. So after
delicious.
I love it. Same with Anne, like in a kind of mocktail or cocktail, I trend towards the apple rosemary because it's got that sort of edge to it. I don't know. I mean, the raspberry rose and lavender feels
good too. That's delicious.
It's so like festive. That's like a celebratory spritzy zone.
Yeah. It tastes good with sparkling wine. It's like delicious.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had like actual like just put? I'm sure you have with one of the drinks, one of the shrubs. But have you ever actually put like water or salt, a good salt on watermelon?
Yes.
Alone.
So good.
Yeah. That's like a thing that people like, they come to my house. There's certain things that we do in our household that people are like, ew, is that, you really want to, that's how you do it? And I'm like, oh, you got to taste it first. And then they do. And they're like, oh my gosh. Like another one is like, have you had dates with ghee and salt?
Oh no. I like dates with nut butter in them though.
Oh my gosh. Like there's a vanilla ghee that we have that we put on dates with salt, and it tastes like I don't know, like a cashew cookie almost. It's delicious. Like, and once you have it, you just never go back. You're just like, this is amazing.
How much ghee do you put on there?
Like 3 grams, like a small amount, not a lot.
Yeah. Yum.
It's super delish. Okay.
Do you like these dates? Do you know this?
Those are great. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Those
are amazing. Mm-hmm.
This isn't empty box. I ate them, but I saved the box. So cute.
It is a cute box. Yeah, one of our business ideas, my husband and I, is to have like a, I don't know if I want to say the name out loud if someone takes it. You know what? It doesn't matter. So we were thinking about having this company and calling it like the Great Date Co. and having these dates and do different flavors. Cause I'm like a unique flavor person. I love unique flavor profiles. So I was like, we're going to have all these really fun, unique flavors. And like one time I was playing in the kitchen and put like cayenne with the salt on it, and it made it a little bit spicy. And I was like, ooh, I actually really like this. So just fun things like that. But I feel like we'd get along in the kitchen, like collectively, all of us.
We would have so much fun. We're going to have an in real time, ideally in real life. We could have such a fun kitchen party.
Yes, I say let's do that. And you guys you're one of the brands that's not that far from me. I mean, a lot of them are out on the, they're really all over the country, but this round with this box, a lot of them over on the West Coast. So I'll have to get with you guys. You guys are closer to me than everybody else. So we'll have to do like a fun kitchen, thing.
That would be awesome.
Down of creative flavors and do something fun.
We'd love it.
That would be awesome.
Tell me what is happening upcoming. I don't know if you guys are like me. I'm always like, I'm this big visionary and I have all these ideas of how I would want to grow and do things. And, tell me if there's anything that you guys if you were dreaming really big, what does Urban Pharm look like over the next 5-10 years?
I thought that was a fun question to think about. And there's like a whole lot of up here things without like the path to get there. But I think I'm going to say what I think, Jill, and I think it's in sync with you. And then you chime in where it's not exactly, we're not exactly on the same. I would love for Urban Pharm to be a household staple, whether it's Shrub or another product that we haven't come up with yet, but for people to really think of us when they're thinking of something that is like fun, irreverent, good for you, slightly messy, but all kind of healthy, wellness oriented things. And we could do a podcast or a cookbook or branch out into some other content areas. Again, I came from a book publishing background, so my default is thinking, oh, it would be so much fun to do a cookbook with Jill, and the photos would be so beautiful, and the mess that we would make doing all of it would be so great. So it is, it's half baked in my mind, but that's kind of the direction. And that also then meets up with this other piece that we've talked about of really continuing to work with, to collaborate with farmers and makers and different herbalists and stores and things that are in sync with not only in sync with our values and our ethos and all of that, but people who we respect, who are fun, and we want to get in the mud with them. So all of it's a little bit mushy, but in that direction.
Yeah, it sounds like you have some creative juices flowing and some good ones.
They're flowing. Yeah, they're just flowing to what end right now, but you chime in, Jill, because you can maybe put some more structure to what I'm doing.
No, I think I'm pretty much in sync with all of it, which is so lucky for us.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's what I hope for Urban Pharm in 5 or 10 years is kind of the same thing that I hope for it now. Just I'm not quite sure how it's going to iterate and where it came from, which is like as a not a mechanism, but as a conduit for a certain set of putting a certain set of ideas and values out into the world to offer those up to other people that have to do with being kind of a messy human, really a real emphasis on human, and right, on care, right, taking care with and of, on sort of a deep priorities or a real prioritization of sort of what is connective and relational and real over what is quick and efficient and so what is sort of generative of human well-being writ large. And those are the things that I think are generative of well-being, are relationships, connection to what you eat, to who you eat with, to where your food comes from. I mean, these are to your body, to your community, all this kind of stuff. So, you know, how that translates into how that ethos kind of translates into products or podcasts or cookbooks or whatever it is, you know, a little TBD, but I'm confident and so excited about sort of the work going forward for Ann and I, and communicating that, because it feels like play. And it's as joyful and happy making for us to do that together as it is, hopefully, for whatever else it is, what it is that we put out into the world. So that's sort of a abstract rambling.
No, I love it. I love all the ideas and I love how you guys are not, it's not like you have this dead set, like, and I love how a lot of people, especially when I'm talking to entrepreneurs, they have all these goals that are based on mile markers, again, based on, you know, financial growth. And you guys are, the words that I'm hearing are so very different on, you know, the connection and you know, being in tune with yourself, and all these different words that I'm hearing from you all on how you want to grow. And I think that you'll be blessed by that and through that. I think when you are so hyper fixated, what I've seen when people hold on so tight to like the one end goal of something, we'll say like financial growth, they end up being wildly disappointed at the end, even when they have it, because they've lost sense of the things that are really important that you guys are holding on to. So that speaks volumes for not just you both as humans, but also my feeling of how you guys are going to grow and evolve is just going to go beyond your expectations because of who you are. So
Michelle, I hope right.
That's so nice. I was going to, as you were talking, I was going to say, God, well, we could do with thinking a little bit more about that.
I was like, we probably should do that.
Well, it's not to say they're not important. Obviously, you don't want to go under. You want to make sure numbers are what they're supposed to be in order to grow and be successful. But I think that I love and appreciate when I hear people that care more about some of these other things. It's like I've told my husband and we've talked too. I think, Anne, when I first talked to you, is that for me, I'd rather lose money and not lose to go under, but make less is my point. Either make less and have less go into my pocket at the end of the day, knowing that I'm living in integrity and that I'm just being a good human. And I feel like nowadays the world, I guess it depends on how you look at it. I could say I can look at the world and it feels so divided, but I could also look at it and find the good too. I think it just depends on what direction you're looking at, right? But but I'm choosing to look at people like you and want to surround myself with people like you all. And I mean, it's like you said, you called it, I forget what you said, imperfect or messy humans, this experience that we're living. And I think that people need to open themselves up to realizing that we're all that. We're all messy and imperfect. And there's going to be things that I would disagree on with Anne or Jill, or even you guys probably would disagree on as close as you are friends. You know what I mean? And I think at the end of the day, we need to realize that even the best of friends have disagreements on topics. And I think that that's what makes us human. And I think to be able to see those differences and say, you know what, like, it's okay, I still see you and love you as a human is where we step in the right direction with humanity moving forward. So I just love and appreciate where you guys are coming from, the story and the background and where you guys want to go and what is important to you. I think that's really special.
Thanks.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah. Well, I do. Go ahead. What?
I said right back at you.
Thanks. I did have a question. So I think that I always love to know like breakthroughs that people had when they were starting out. Like, I don't know if you guys remember like when you made your first sale, like how exciting it was or like what that felt like, but I would love to know some of your biggest breakthroughs or biggest wins or just biggest pleasant surprises as you were starting out and growing and scaling Urban Pharm.
I think the beginning, we started with a party at a friend's store, a launch party for the brand. And I found it I was so happy with how people showed up to support us. There was something that was so like, we can do this. This is so fun. And it was a great like launch out into the world. And then we went to our first farmer's market and we went together, and it was blind leading the blind. We couldn't get the tent up because we were laughing too hard under it and it was collapsing on us. That's the kind of energy we were bringing. Those are the two things that pop up from the very beginning, but there were a bunch of fun wins along the way. Like when we got into our first accounts, and it was really, at the start, we reached out to 10 accounts and we had our fingers crossed and everybody said yes. So we thought, oh, this is easy. And then of course, like account number 11, I was like, this is hard. But those first 10 accounts were a blast. They were all the accounts that we wanted to get into and that we really respect and think are important businesses to our town. And it was really, all of that was really fun.
I'm trying to think of some of the initial things. I think that like having someone like actually just pay money for something made was, I mean, it's still sort of, it's not that it's a thrill and it's not about the money. It's more just like takes me by surprise.
Yeah.
Or when I feel like the first couple of times that, and actually it's not first. This continues to be the case where you're at a farmer's market and you get to talk to somebody and you get them to try it and try the shrub. And they're like, oh, that's like weirdly delicious. And I'm like, I told you. So excited. Or when someone comes back and they say, I just love this. It's just sort of an amazing, wonderful every single time it happens. And part of that is, or most of that, I think, is connecting with another person, and also contributing in some tiny little way to their well-being, sense of well-being, right? It's just like, God, what a privilege to be in a position to be able to do that in some small way.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Is Urban Pharm going to stay? It's going to stay Shrubs, or are you guys going to expand on things?
I think we will expand, but I don't know in what direction. But I think when we came in, when we started Urban Pharm and started thinking about it, we thought, let's just do it. And we'll start with shrubs, but it's not a shrub business. Urban Pharm is more about kind of the ideas and the heart behind it, and see where that goes. And Urban Pharm started right when Flamingo Estate started. So we had this model of, alongside us of like, do what you love, like make the soap, make the olive oil, do the honey, do the chocolate, do the, whatever. So there's this versus the model that we've seen forever, which is do one thing and do it really well and do that one thing. So we could move in all sorts of different directions. I don't know where we'll go.
And look at you being expansive.
Yeah.
I'm really, Michelle, that was my thing last year. And I did, it was my resolution to be expanded. I can narrow it down, really zone in.
Well, one of my favorite things, actually, I don't know, have you guys ever gone to Palm Beach, Florida?
Mm-hmm.
Have you visited the Colony Hotel?
Oh yeah, I love the Colony.
Okay, so what I love so much about the Colony, and actually that's where my idea, I had already had WellHaus, it was in my mind, but when I went there, all of a sudden, like my ideas started like popping off like popcorn. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love how they do all these collaborations. Everything was a collaboration, like a collaboration with their furniture, a collaboration with their coffee shop, everything. And I was like, why do we feel like, is it like an ego thing where people get in, they're like, this is my business, it needs to be all about me and my business? And I'm like, no, I think the collaborations, when I see other brands doing collaborations, I'm like, how fun. It's not just about them. They want to collaborate and have this shared creativity together. I always love that. So I don't know if you guys have ever thought about like collaborations or ones that you would like love to do or have dreamt of. Is there anything that you'd be like jump at for a collaborative, whether that be a collaborative product or a collaborative brand?
And you can go ahead.
Well, we've done a handful of collaborations locally. There's a company here called Curio Spice, and we source a lot of our spices from them. They're nationwide, but they're based near us, and they have been along for the Urban Pharm ride from the beginning. And we've done a collab flavor with them, which was really, really fun to do. And we've talked about all sorts of other ideas of who we could. There are other farms locally who we could pair up with. But in terms of big brands, we haven't really dug into who we could collaborate with necessarily on a shrub product the way that we have. But I think that we could do things in terms of different kits and sets and things like that, which I think would be really fun to do.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, I'm a big collab fan. So like when I see that kind of stuff, like I said, I just get all excited. I don't know why. There's something about it. Like,
well, there's something really fun about it. You know, it's not only from a marketing perspective where like, oh, it's great to do a collaboration with X company because they have 100,000 followers. You know, there are certainly those advantages, but I think that the like-minded businesses, and we see this with WellHaus, we see it on the shelves of the stores that we're proud to be in, that we're sitting next to businesses that we respect and that we think are really important and are adding value to the world in some way. So I think we could drill down a little bit further, Jill, and think about where we want to. Oh, there she is.
Sorry.
That's okay. It luckily was an Urban Pharm.
I know we got a picture of Urban Pharm there, like a little marketing, like.
That was
Are there any companies, Jill, that you think of in terms of collaboration?
I think I'm sort of stuck on, I'm picturing like whenever there's a collab, like the Urban Pharm X blank. And what I'm actually focused on, my mind gets stuck on, is the X turned up so it's a plus. And it's like all about sort of like abundance through an elaboration through relationship, right? That's part of what's so anyways, I'm thinking about that right now, and just thinking about how as opposed to the precise collaboration, just how fun to be in a space where brands, people, ingredients are coming together and making something elaborative that you couldn't do on your own. So that's, again, like a sort of abstract way of answering the question. So I don't have any particular collaborations in mind, but I do love what we've done already in terms of partnering. With Curio is one thing. It brings me endless joy to go to the farmer's market and see Fran Busa to get our apples or our basil or our mint, or that's a kind of partnership and collaboration that, so more of that, right? Where you're just working closely with people and joining the things that they do so beautifully with the things that hopefully we do as beautifully as we can. Yeah, that's what I got.
So I meant to mention it like early on in the episode and then or in the interview, but then we kind of went on and I forgot until you said something a second. Oh, when you see these people at the farmer's market. And I wanted to do a little side note too, because I know people will ask, is that I went through, and when I'm working with brands, I will vet them. I will like call their suppliers. I will ask the right questions. And I will just say, and I know that you guys know this, but maybe listeners don't, that just because someone isn't, and I know people have heard this, but I'm reiterating it, just because something isn't certified organic doesn't mean that they don't have organic practices, meaning that they don't spray and they take all the right precautions to ensure that their product is true quality. So I wanted to put that little side note in there because it's something that I wanted to say. And like I said, we started chatting and then I was like, oh, maybe it'll come up later. But I think that what you guys are doing and the quality of your product is phenomenal. I love that you care so much about relationships. I love that you care about like getting it locally within your area. There's just so many layers of what Urban Pharm does exceptionally well. And it's why I reached out to you guys to begin with, to have you partner with WellHaus, because I truly love the product. And then getting to know you guys. Obviously, I've talked a little bit more with Anne, but getting to know you, Jill, during this interview, there's just so many things that I love about you guys as humans too, that I think just the world, we need more of it. We need more good humans like you all that have this priority on relationships first. And then, yeah, let's get creative. Let's make some awesome products with integrity and help the world around us. And I think that we just need more of it. So thank you guys for who you are and what you do. And thank you for coming on and doing this with me today. I just really appreciate you all around.
Thanks a lot. We had fun talking with you. It's really, we could stay on here all day, actually.
I know. I think we could do a whole episode on love lists, to be quite honest, like where we just sit and we chat. Like, I think that would just be like a fun, hey, maybe you have a podcast idea.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be really like your thing, I think. And I think that I would just listen to it just because I'd probably laugh and cry and just be happy the entire time. So yeah, there you go.
Well, you're just gifting us left and right. That's a pretty good idea.
Well, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to let you go, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And until next time.
Thanks a lot. See you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.